Olúronbí was the kind of woman people admired, beautiful, wealthy, respected, yet secretly broken, because in a compound of laughter, her room stayed quiet, year after year, no child. At first she tried herbs agbo boiled at dawn, then prayers long nights on cold mats, then sacrifices white cloth, palm oil, and whispered names, then silence because even hope can grow tired. Until one Harmattan afternoon, the silence became heavier than her jewelry, and she walked alone into the forest where even hunters avoided a certain path. They called it Egbio Agi, the bush that answers back. In the middle of that forest stood it, the Ìrókò Tree. Its trunk was wide like a house wall, its roots twisted like sleeping snakes, its branches so high they looked like they were holding up the sky. The elders always warned, "Myke piu Ìrókò. Don't make promises you can't keep." They said the tree was older than the first drumbeat, and that its shadow belonged to spirits who never forget. But grief makes people brave and foolish. Olúronbí placed her palms on the bark, closed her eyes, and whispered, "If you give me a child, I will return the child to you." She poured her desperation into one sentence like water into a calabash you cannot see. The wind changed. Not loud, just different. As if the leaves leaned closer. A bird stopped mid-note. Olúronbí left with trembling legs, hoping she hadn't spoken to the air. 3 moons later, sickness visited her mornings. 6 moons later, her belly rose like a blessing. 9 moons later, the compound shook with celebration. A son. Women beat drums and called her Iwadmu. They named the boy Kin Strength because he arrived like iron after years of clay, and for a while Olúronbí forgot the forest. A kin grew fast, bright eyes, quick smile, a laugh that could soften angry hearts. She dressed him in fine soul, hired tutors, and fed him like a prince. But when the wind blew with a chill, Olúronbí remembered the bark under her palms and she drowned the memory with luxury. Then one evening, while the family ate, a cold breeze slid into the room. The lamps flickered. The child's laughter stopped, like a drum cut short. Far away, the Ìrókò gave a sound like a deep sigh. That night, Olúronbí dreamed of roots crawling into her room, slow roots that did not rush because they knew time was on their side. She woke with fear in her mouth. In the morning, a messenger arrived, an herbalist with cold dark eyes. He didn't greet. He didn't smile. He said only one thing. "Madam, Ìrókò has come to collect." Olúronbí's throat dried. "Collect what?" The man stared at her. "Your vow." Panic made her shout. "I was grieving. I didn't mean it." The herbalist nodded slowly. "That is the problem. You spoke to the unseen the way you speak to humans carelessly." He tapped his staff on the earth. Olúronbí ran to her husband. "We must protect the kin." Her husband demanded the truth. When she confessed, the house went quiet. They gathered elders, priests, and charms that same day. They tied protection to Akin's waist and wrists, rubbed his forehead with camwood, and locked the doors. But you don't guard a house from the wind. At dusk, Akin played in the courtyard, chasing a wooden top. Olúronbí watched him like a hawk. Then a strange stillness fell, no birds, no insects. Even the goats stopped chewing. The air became heavy, as if the sky held its breath. Akin turned his head as if someone called him softly from far away. "Dme," a voice seemed to whisper, "my portion." Olúronbí grabbed him. "Don't move, don't answer anything." Akin blinked and smiled, as if he saw someone familiar. He took one small step toward an empty corner of the wall, where only shadow rested, and the ground beneath them shivered. A shadow rose tall, calm, ancient, not a monster, not a human, just presence. Olúronbí screamed and held her son tighter. The air thickened. Then, like cloth snatched by an invisible hand, Akin slipped from her arms, not by force, not by struggle. He simply wasn't there anymore. Olúronbí fell on the sand, clawing the ground, shouting his name until her voice broke. The guards ran in circles. The elders chanted the charms. burned hot then went cold, nothing, only the wine moving toward the forest. Days passed, Olúronbí refused food. Her eyes became hollow. Finally the elders said, "When you promised, you thought you were bargaining, but you were signing." Another elder added, "Ìrókò doesn't trade, it collects." Olúronbí crawled to the forest edge and cried, "Take me instead." I was the one who spoke. She pressed her forehead to the soil. "Let my life pay. Return my child." And the forest answered with silence, because the unseen does not argue, it only fulfills what was spoken word for word. And that was the lesson the village never forgot. Don't make vows with your mouth that your heart cannot carry, because sometimes what answers you is listening forever, always.
This year for Christmas I want for